All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is getting yourself organized, and really what it comes down to is that you get a lot of stuff in boxes that comes with insulated material on the inside, and you don't need any of that insulated material. So everything for the waxing class I keep in this one single box. It's a little beat because it's been 2 years since I've been in the waxing class, but here are all the teeth for the waxing class that come in this bag. It may be labeled differently now, but so all the teeth, a strip of nylon, which Dr. Erbach will recommend to you because it really makes you get that high shine, and then all our waxing instruments. So take this all out, plug it in, and then you'll be ready, good to go. I also have the screwdriver in. So I've got the screwdriver, and then these other materials here, and the jars and everything else. This is for your second year waxing or your gold casting project. And then paintbrush and powder wax. And the powder wax they'll give to you only on the first or second week of waxing class. So you want to get a lot of it. This is what I got the first time, and I got, I don't know, maybe twice as much as that's in here right now. I would go try to get as much as they'll give you. So if you can get like half a vial, that'd be most ideal because you'll use it a lot for any gold casting project at that time. And then your multi-set piece of colored waxes. So these are all the materials that you'll use for the waxing class. So make sure you get that all, get it organized with your Typodont. And really between these two items, this is all you need for the whole quarter. All right, so for your first project, you'll be a number 6, class 5. And class 5 just defines what type of carious lesion there is. So this happens to be up by the gingival line. You can identify that this is a number 6 in this scenario because it's a Typodont tooth by looking at the root tip. So it says number 6, and in most cases for the wax teeth, usually the number goes to the distal, but this is obviously an exception to where the number's on the mesial because it's going to fit right here on the right half of the patient's arch. So take your screwdriver and then kind of figure out where number 6 is and kind of draw kind of straight up here. And I think this is number 6. Take out the old one, take out the screw. Alright, and there your tooth is. So now you can see you have the carious lesion there. It's ready to be filled with wax, so that's what we'll do next. Okay, so what we'll be using here is, so turn on the wax spatula, Wax Master, you turn it on the side here. A nice little startup chime, and then I keep all my wax tips in the back. So you can just grab the one that you want to be using. Generally the smallest tip is a good idea for these small lesions, and then slide it on, kind of line up the groove on the tip with the groove on the wax spatula, on the wax pencil. Go straight down. These things get hot pretty quick, so do it quickly so that you don't burn your fingers. And then you can leave it on the magnet here while it heats up. These are the items that I'll be using to carve away the wax. So the wax pencil will put the wax into the lesion, and then I'll use these instruments here. This is a beaver tail burnisher. This is a number 7 wax spatula. We don't use it too much in this class, but use it a lot later on, especially in dentures. This is a cleoid discoid. This is the discoid on this side and the cleoid at the other end here, the pointy tip. And probably the instrument you'll use the most in the waxing class here is the half Hollenbach, which is these kind of surfboard shaped kind of design. It's really useful because it has 2 different angles on it, which makes you get nice grooves and everything for a nice wax finish. And then this is a denture brush you use in dentures. So the reason why I have it all set up is because I just went through the denture course, so a lot of my denture materials are kind of mixed in. You really need these 3 instruments to get through the course. So this is the beaver tail burnisher, the cleoid discoid, and the half Hollenbach. And they're all out of the box because the box just occupies space, and I just keep them in this cheap little bag here. So, alright, so now we're ready to start waxing. So I've let it kind of heat up a little bit here. You can take off the top half of the arch because there's no reason, we don't have any contacts that we need to establish. So let's just kind of simplify things and work with one half. And what I'll do here is we start with the red wax in this scenario. Later on, when you get more complicated, when you're doing crowns and such, you do use different combinations of wax. But all I'll do is I'll just dip the spatula and it'll kind of sink in. You don't want it too hot If it's not hot enough, it just takes too long. And I got a nice little dab of red on there. And I can touch it in and it'll fill the space here. And I'll keep going back and forth and just kind of keep until I get this lesion all the way filled in. This class 5 is especially, it's one of the easier ones to do. It's kind of getting used to the dental school policies of this time, but it also gets you used to the instruments because you don't want to start with the hard ones right away. It just kind of demoralize you. Just making sure I got it enough filled so I got a good contour on it, because if we want it to, our imagination should resemble the real thing in the most ideal scenario. So I've got it overfilled. I'm going to carry it over to the edges a little bit because it's easier to carve it away at this point than to have it underfilled and go back and add wax to it. So that's the end of filling it in with wax. So one thing that you'll hear a lot of people talk about is the line angles of the tooth, and what nobody really explains too much what that line angle means. And basically what it is, it's the point of greatest, the highest turn or the greatest turn that the tooth will make, and that point will make a line angle. So if we were going to really exaggerate what a canine line angle would be like, it'd go out, turn, and be flat at the front end, the facial end, and then turn back around here. So these 2 points would be our line angles. But really what it looks like is it comes out, it gently curves around the front, and then gently curves again. And we say this is our greatest point of turning on the tooth, and that would be our line angle. So you want to follow the line angle up on the tooth. I'm going to show you on pencil here. Dr. Erbach will say the line angles converge. So as you get up the tooth, it gets narrower. So that's probably about where the line angle is there. And this is probably about where the line angle is here. So you can see that these two lines are converging. They're getting closer together as we go more gingivally. So we'll want to mimic that with our wax up as well. Now if you look from a profile view, you come along the side here, the tooth also comes down, comes forward, and we have a line angle, we have a height of contour here at the gingival third of the tooth. And we'll want to replicate that so that when we look from the side, from the profile view, it'll actually flow identically to the tooth and really mimics what the tooth already exists in its anatomy. We don't want to create any new anatomy, we want to mimic what's already there and replace it with wax. So that's just the concept of line angles, and I hope that helps and it kind of clears some points that you'll hear later on. Okay, so what we'll do here is I've got my half Holland back here. You can see it's a pointed kind of surfboard looking instrument here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place half of the tip of the instrument on the tooth and half of it to be carving away at the wax. Because if I do too much on the wax and I'm carving too much of the surface away, if I'm not doing enough, then I'm not taking enough away, and I'm going to have some flash or some leftover wax past where the cavity is. So we kind of go back and forth and kind of maintain that line angle. And every once in a while you kind of got to brush it off, kind of see where you are. I'll use this nylon. This is just a nylon from a women's stocking, as Dr. Erbach calls it. So just setting it up like that. And then now, so I did kind of that was the mesiodistal line angles that I was establishing. Now if I'm going to do the height of contour, I'm kind of do the same thing. And this you have to be a little bit more delicate because it's easier to kind of carve too much away. This kind of helps get that nice finish. You can see here, if you look in the side, it looks like it flows just as if it was the tooth. If we use our imagination on what the tooth was going to be doing in that interrupted space, and it looks pretty nice here. I'm just going to do a little bit more polishing that we'll show you next, but as for now, I think this is a good place to kind of get an idea of what you'll want to do with yours. Okay, so what I did is I took a little cotton roll, and this is up by the central island by where the instructors are. I took a cotton roll, I wet it with hot water or kind of warm water, and took a scoop of soap, just hand soap that's over by the sink, and then what you can do is this helps you get a nice polish. It takes away any residual dust or dirt that's on there, and it's gentle too, so you don't accidentally mess up what you had already set up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the air water syringe, kind of blow that off. So now I have a nice shiny finish that the instructor will take a look at. You can submit this for grading at this time. I think one difference that I should mention is that Dr. Urbach usually likes to establish the line angles in green. So for class, go ahead and set those up in green if that's what he asks. I just did it all in red for one filling. It doesn't make too much of a difference. You can imagine where the line angles would be. They'd go straight up in this area here and in this area here. And that's all. That's it for the number 6 class 5 wax up.